All right. So, welcome. I'm Caroline. I am going to kickstart us for our year-end updates and reminders. We're so happy you're here. Okay. Welcome, welcome. We'll just keep admitting people as we go. Lots of important information we want to get through, so welcome. So, just as a housekeeping, we will be recording this. So, if you didn't see that, just know that we will be recording this and we will be utilizing it to share out later in a follow-up Gov delivery. So, if you have any questions for us, though, go ahead, use that Q&A feature. We'll post this webinar recording on the web. And then if there's any specific Q&As that we feel like we need to follow up with a larger group, we'll get that out in a Q&A Gov delivery format as well. So don't hesitate to ask us as we go. Hopefully we answer some of your questions, but don't hesitate to ask. So again, I'm Caroline. I oversee MCS MTG and the Community College Guarantee, and I'm going to turn it over to the rest of my team to introduce themselves as well.
Hi, I'm
Good
Alicia
morning.
Sederberg. I work for the Office of Student Success and Strategic Initiatives inside the Office of Higher Ed. So I administer Reconnect and the Michigan Achievement Skills Scholarship. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Diane Cosme. I am the Director of Student Aid and Access. Happy to see you all.
Good morning. I'm Christy Williams. I am the program coordinator for the Children of Veterans Tuition Grant, the non-public dual enrollment, and the Police Officers and Firefighters Survivor Tuition Grant.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Erin Bird. I am the program coordinator for the Michigan Indian Tuition Waiver.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Maurer, Program Administrator for the Student Aid and Access side.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Laycock. I am the program coordinator for Michigan Achievement Scholarship, including the Community College Guarantee and the four-year pathways.
Hi, everyone. Oh,
Stephanie, you go.
sorry, Sarah. I forgot there's two Sarahs. My bad. I'm Stephanie Dillon, and I'm the program coordinator for Tuition Incentive Program, Foster and Futures, and My Gear Up. Your turn, McGann.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Sarah McGann, the other Sarah. I am the program coordinator for the My Future Educator Fellowship Program and My Future Educator Stipend Program.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Okay, well, we will keep it moving.
Well, thanks, Caroline, for getting us started. So here's a quick look at today's agenda. We'll start with a brief welcome and an update on where we are as we wrap up the 25-26 award year. Then we'll cover important timeline reminders, closing out awards, and year-end balancing, everyone's favorite. We'll also spend some time looking ahead to what's coming for 26-27 before wrapping up with some resources and some new to you information that's available on our website. And then, of course, hopefully we'll have plenty of time for your questions at the end. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So here, this slide highlights the scale of Michigan's investment in helping students access and afford higher education. Altogether, the state is investing nearly $734 million in state financial aid programs just this year alone, which is pretty incredible. The Michigan Achievement Scholarship, as we know, continues to be our largest program, helping hundreds of thousands of students reduce their costs of college. We're also continuing our strong support for the Tuition Incentive Program, helping students stay on track towards earning a degree or credential. We also see that the My Future Educator Fellowship and Stipend is another really huge investment here in Michigan, helping our students pursue careers in education and supporting our future teachers here in Michigan. And through Michigan Reconnect, we're helping adults return to school, earn credentials, and gain the skills that they need in today's workforce. And then in addition to the state financial aid programs, there has been continued investment in outreach and awareness, including $10 million in investment towards the Universal FAFSA Challenge grant and an additional $10 million in investment towards outreach specifically for the Michigan Achievement Scholarship Program, in addition to our other state aid programs. Next slide. So making an impact. So this is a pretty remarkable, the Office of Higher Education just released its first ever edition of our Vision and Impact Report. So some of the information that I'm sharing with you right now can be found in that impact report. But I'll highlight a few things in particular as it relates to student aid. Michigan has increased its state financial aid access, which has more than doubled since our pre-pandemic levels, with 28.4% of Michigan undergraduates now receiving state aid. Michigan's class of 2025 achieved the highest FAFSA completion rate since 2019, with 67,000 FAFSAs completed. However, most recently, the class of 2026 has just now outpaced our 2025 students, and we'll expect that to keep going up. Early awareness efforts reached more than 680,000 TIP students just over the last 2 years through our mailings. And that's helping connect students to their options earlier, as early as sixth grade. The My Future Educator Fellowship is showing strong workforce outcomes. Of our students awarded, 94% have been credentialed and 92% are already employed in education. For Michigan Reconnect, this continues to drive our adult learners to success with more than 14,000 degrees and certificates already awarded. And together with these outcomes, this really just demonstrates progress in college access, affordability, attainment, and workforce development across Michigan. Next slide. So this slide, there's a lot going on this slide, but this is really where the numbers are at and the dollars of awarded and students awarded. So we can see specifically where our dollars are actually reaching students this year and how our participation is just continuing to grow across so many of our programs. The numbers are as of early June, we've awarded more than just this year, $641 million in state financial aid to nearly 147,000 students across Michigan. The Michigan Achievement Scholarship continues to be the largest program by far, with over 88,000 students receiving more than $381 million in awards. And we've seen that participation has grown by nearly 45% compared to last year, just showing that continued demand for this program. TIP has supported more than 44,000 students just this year alone, awarding approximately $127 million and more to come. We're also seeing strong engagement from our adult learners through Michigan Reconnect and Expansion. And together, these programs have awarded over 20,000 students. The fellowship and stipend program have provided more than $56 million in support to over 5,500 future educators. And then some of our smaller programs are also showing, really meaningful growth, including the Michigan Achievement Scholarship, which is Michigan Achievement Skills Scholarship, which is more than doubled participation just from last year. And also wanted to note that the Children's of Veterans Tuition Grant saw more than a 20% increase from just last year. So now that we've gone through where we're at currently with our numbers, I'll turn it over to Sarah McGann, and then she can preview some upcoming timeline reminders.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer. So here on this first slide, you will see just a summary of application deadlines to keep in mind as we wrap up the 25-26 academic year. First, the fellowship program that just very recently closed its application for this academic year. However, two other important dates to keep in mind. First, July 1, about 1 week from today, we are requiring institutions to confirm eligibility for applicants. Any student that is not confirmed by that date will be moved to no, not eligible in the MISSG on Thursday, July 2nd. Second, other big deadline for fellowship, we are requiring students to sign their commitment to teach in Michigan agreement by July 15th. If they don't sign by that date, they will not be eligible for fellowship this year. Otherwise, July 15th is really the next big round of application closures. You'll see here Children of Veterans Tuition Grant, the Achievement Skills Scholarship, Survivors Tuition Grant, Stipend, and Fostering Futures all have a July 15th application close date. We are discussing potentially extending the Achievement Skills Scholarship to out a few weeks. If that decision is made, we will be sure to notify you. Next slide, thank you. Then just a few other reminders. This should be very familiar. Our Michigan Competitive Scholarship and Michigan Tuition Grant have a FAFSA filing deadline of July 1, so 1 week from today. Otherwise, the last big deadline is our August 11, 2026 fourth quarter reimbursement and certification deadline. On August 12th, that Wednesday, is our final disbursement date for most of our programs, with the exception of the Michigan Achievement Skills Scholarship, which has a final payment and disbursement date of September 9th.
All right, I'm going to go over some of the Michigan Achievement specific year-end reminders for folks. So continuing this year, we do have the fourth quarter special process in place. So this is for students who are in a ready to pay status for their very final semester to initiate. Because then in MySSG, it doesn't allow you to submit subsequent certifications until that's moved into a paid status. So for those students, you'll want to make sure that you're requesting the administrative override from me to complete their subsequent semesters, regardless of the status, whether it's a yes or a no. So there was a Gov delivery sent on June 3rd, and it has the step-by-step instructions, but you'll essentially send me an email with all of the information about the student, and then I would do the override for you. So keep that in mind. Don't let those catch you unaware, because I know that it does take a little bit of time to process those. And then I did want to talk about something new this year. So last year, if you were here for this webinar, we had some discussion regarding if we would have a deadline date for eligibility for Michigan Achievement. So we will be instituting that for this year. So the final day for a student to become eligible for Michigan Achievement Scholarship in MySSG is going to be end of day Friday, August 7th. Any students who have an ineligible status in MySSG at the end of August 7th will no longer be able to be updated to eligible status for the remainder of the year. Students who are in an eligible status but maybe are at a different institution still can be transferred to your institution, so they may show up on your rosters. If you have a special circumstance that's last minute, you can submit email to me requesting an override. The deadline for that is going to be noon on August 11th. So please just note that. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me about those.
Awesome. So I have a couple reminders for the Michigan Achievement Skills Scholarship. And also kind of a new thing we're doing this year. I know there's not many participants on this call, so I will keep it relatively brief. MySSG allows institutions to report their completers now for the Skills Scholarship. That's really important. Students can only receive the Skills Scholarship for their first certificate, so we need to start collecting when they receive that. That field right now is problematic, so don't do it now. But in the next couple of weeks, we'll send out another Gov delivery if you are a Michigan Achievement Skills training provider. Do be on the lookout for that. But we will need, once we get that resolved, we will need all the completer students and the date that they graduated in MySSG by September 30th. We will then follow up for those who didn't complete and ask, are they still enrolled? Did they stop out? Try to get more information about those students. But that will be manual. It'll be an email from Don, Jamar, or I. So just another update is the reporting credential is done through the date credential earned field when you update application information on a student's profile. So just kind of a heads up, that field is there Right now, if you put the date in and the payment hasn't gone through, it'll stop the payment from going through. So you don't do it right now. But we will have a gov delivery of when that will be available. And then we will need everyone to complete it by September 30th. Also, the annual update for Michigan Training Connect is happening in July. So if you want to participate with your short-term training programs or your health career programs that may not be eligible for the Michigan Achievement Scholarship, do get your program on Michigan Talent Connect, the state of Michigan's ETPL, not just for Workforce Pell, but you should also do it if you're interested in Workforce Pell. But that annual update is in July. If your program is not listed on Michigan Talent Connect, we will not consider it for the Michigan Achievement Skills Scholarship in calendar year 27. So just kind of a heads up, the way to make sure that you continue to be eligible for the scholarship is to continue to be on Michigan Talent Connect. Generally, it's your IR or workforce development offices who update that. If you're a little concerned, if you want to make sure that that's being done, feel free to email me afterwards. I can connect you with who at your institution updates the Michigan Training Connect website. Make sure that you can continue to receive Michigan Achievement Skills Scholarship. Then reconnect year-end reminders. First, just a program coordinator update. JMAR has shifted to a different position in the Student Success and Strategic Initiative Office, but he can still help. Don Florenci is now the Reconnect program coordinator. He's also the coordinator for Michigan Achievement Skills Scholarship. I'm saying this because right now Don is on vacation. He will also be on vacation during the fourth quarter payment. So utilize the JMAR, the MiLEAP-reconnect at michigan.gov with any kind of adjustments or LOA updates or any kind of reimbursement request problems you have in that Q4 payment. But I just thought I'd emphasize that Don's the program coordinator for Reconnect. JMAR is still with us in a different capacity, but can certainly help out if you need a request or an update in MySSG for a Reconnect student. Another reminder, Reconnect, if your student began in fall of 25 or before then, for both Reconnect and Reconnect expansion, we need to know if that student did not earn 12 credit hours. So if the student in this academic year was required to earn 12 credit hours and did not earn 12 credit hours, we do need you to upload that in MySSG. That feature has been turned on, so you are able to do that now. So just kind of a reminder, if they did earn the 12 credit hours, you then need to look, did they meet SAP or do they have a 2.0 since being a reconnector? So those criteria you only look at for the students who earned 12 credit hours. They didn't earn 12 credit hours, you update them as not eligible and you move on. If they did earn 12 credit hours, you then go, did they make SAP? They didn't make SAP, they have a 2.0 GPA since being a reconnector. So kind of follow that workflow. If a student began as a reconnector this spring semester, spring 26 or summer 26, they're not required to earn the 12 credit hours. So we don't do any of this eligibility stuff. They will be in and we will look at that stuff next academic year. And then lastly, if you haven't already, please report your spring, winter graduates in MySSG. And then after the summer, make sure you're updating your graduates. We get official numbers from CEPI, but a lot of the numbers we get when we get requests for the news and for our legislatures, we are kind of looking at the data that you provide us in MySSG on completers. So it's really important. We really appreciate when you have that in there. It also is a good backstop for the Reconnect graduation that's happening next week as a kind of way to make sure we grab those graduates. And also thank you for providing those lists for all the colleges that did. So those are the Reconnect end of year reminders. We'll also be sending out transfer student information. Just as a reminder, you'll get an email from me saying, hey, these students are transfer students. Please tell me how many credits they earned at your institution, and then I'll add them together for you. And we'll assess whether they meet the minimum credit hours. So that's it for Reconnect. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Alicia. So I'm going to talk about the topic of closing out 25-26 awards. So I just want to emphasize how important this process is, ensuring that all of your students who are in a ready to certify status for all of the certification programs, making sure that they are completed, whether that's a yes or a no, is critical. We do ask that you're reviewing your certification rosters often because students are added in real time, and that you confirm and finalize all of your reimbursement requests that you've made. Um, we would just want to make sure that all students receive the funds they're eligible for. And once the final payment for Q4 is made, we can't make a retroactive payment. So if that student wasn't certified correctly, then they miss out on those funds. And none of us want that to happen. So please make sure that you're doing this process often and early so that you aren't coming up to a couple days before Q4 and then having to rush through it. So we just really want to emphasize that and let you know that we are here for you if you're having issues. Because I'm always happy to hop on a call if you're stuck or something's going wrong. So just keep that in mind. A little data for you. This is the current number of students as of this morning when I pulled the data that are still in a ready to certify status. So we've seen really good improvement in all of the programs at this time except for Michigan Achievement. So all the other numbers have gone down since in comparison to last year at this time. However, Michigan Achievement does still have just over 51,000 students out there that are ready to certify. This could look like a student that maybe you didn't certify for fall and spring yet, or you might just have a summer certification hanging out. But regardless of what it is about 16,000 more students than this time last year. So I just really want to encourage you to work on those as soon as possible so we can get those numbers down. If you need a little refresher on how to work on those, here is a little step-by-step on where to actually find certification rosters. So there's a couple ways you can do this, but this way is quite easy. So you'll just log into your MySSG account and you'll select the reports tab on the left. And then when you are in the reports, there's a little rosters tab that you'll click. And then you'd select the certification roster. You can then choose your information. So for example, if you wanted to check your MCS, you select MCS, or if you want to check Michigan Achievement, you'd select that. And then the term that you want to look at that for, as well as the year. So once you do that, it's going to download into a file for you, and then you can manipulate that however you'd like. Make sure you are checking all terms, like I mentioned, because students are added every day. Even if maybe you cleared out your fall semester, you're going to want to take a peek at that because maybe a new student was added. So once you do this, you'll actually see a Excel. It's going to show all of the students at the institution in the selected year, selected term that have the ready to certify still. This roster on screen is an example of an MCS roster. So you'll see that it has the students' information as well as amounts, and then that CEPI information, so that confirmation of the high school graduation date if it's a yes. If the graduation date has not been confirmed and the program you're working on requires verification, such as Michigan Achievement Scholarship, make sure that you have that high school record on file. And this is going to apply to any transfer students that you might have as well. The programs that require high school verification are Gear Up, Michigan Achievement Scholarship, both four-year and community college paths, the Skill Scholarship, Michigan Competitive Scholarship, and Michigan Tuition Grant, and the Michigan Future Educator Fellowship. So all of those, you'll need to make sure you have that proof of high school graduation. Just a note, if you want to get a CSV file in that has all of the students in it, sort of a staging file for if you're ready to compare it to your system and make your file upload, you can download that through the certification screen. Many of you probably already are doing this, but I just wanted to mention it because it gives you sort of the raw data of the demographic info. It doesn't have like the CEPI info and things like that on it, but it's easier to make your batch upload from that.
Thanks, Sarah. So I'm going to talk about getting your final reimbursement request in. Just a refresher as to what those programs are: CVTG, F4F, Future Educator Fellowship, Reconnect Expansion, STG, and TIP. Um, so when you're getting ready to work your reimbursement files, you always want to confirm, give it a double look, and check. Sorry, I saw someone's question. You want to confirm that the students on your reimbursement roster are the students that are eligible at your institution. And then you want to give yourself time to get it submitted in MySSG. And why I say that is because sometimes the file isn't uploaded correctly, and then it could crash the whole system and stop everyone from processing. So a little tip that I actually heard at the conference was they do a sample file first and then make sure everything is correct, and then they go back and then they upload their file that way. So confirm everyone is at your institution is eligible. Give yourself time to get it submitted correctly, and then double check your file format to make sure that it is correct so there are no issues at the last minute. And since it is Q4, we can't go back, so we want to make sure that it's done properly. And just in case you do need a little reminder of how to download the roster, you would go into my SSG, check the program that you're wanting to work on, click reimbursement request, then click download roster, and then it will generate the report and you would download it. And the file will look like, as you can see in the last picture, a bunch of numbers, letters, all smashed together. And then you can work off of that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Can
Go
you hear
ahead,
me?
Sarah. Yep.
Okay. So again, I am coming to you to emphasize how critical it is to reconcile your awards. Um, like I mentioned, no payments or adjustments can be issued after the fourth quarter. I say this so many times because there have been instances where someone has come to us to ask if we can do that. And unfortunately, we have to say no. And I just hate having anybody in that situation. Um, so why don't we talk a little bit about reconciliation and adjustments, how we can kind of go through this process and ensure that you're set up for success for Q4. Um, just as an aside, before we get into the details here, I do want to just restate that if you need to make an adjustment for a tip student specifically, where the credits are going to be staying the same, but the dollar amount is changing, you do need to make that request through the program coordinator. So in that instance, you would just email Stephanie or contact her to request that. So that's going to be that one scenario where when we go through the adjustments, you won't be able to do on your own. You'll have to contact Stephanie. Okay, so adjustments are going to be made in my SSG in the payment section. So depending on the program that you need to make an adjustment for, these screens may look slightly different, but the process is fairly similar. So you'll want to find the student you're looking for in the quick view area, and then go to the payment history, which we've highlighted on screen. And then when you're in payment history, it's going to show all of the payments broken into semesters and years. You'll want to make sure you're selecting the correct semester and program, because if the student has multiple state programs, they're all going to show up together. So in this case, we want to adjust just the fall Michigan Achievement Scholarship. So we're going to click on that $500 that is highlighted. It'll be a little hyperlink. And then when you do that, it's going to look like this adjustment screen here. So what you'll do is you're going to enter all of the data that you need. All fields have to be completed. So if one of the fields is not applicable, so say for example, they don't have a contact hour adjustment, you would just put 0. If you don't do that, it is going to error out, unfortunately. So we're going to look at an example together of how it should look. So this adjustment example that we're going to go to is going to be a tip adjustment. So let's check out the next slide here. So this student needs a refund. So that means that money is getting sent back to the state for the student. They dropped a class, a 3-credit class. So you'll see that the credits reduced as 3. So you're going to put that in the credit adjustment. You're going to make sure you select that refund radio button there. And then you will put the amount of tuition that's being reduced and the amount of fees. So that's going to be broken out. So for 3 credits, it was $240. The fees were $34. And then once you complete all that, it's going to give you a little total adjusted payment amount for tip. Not all programs have that, but you can double check your work and then you'll select save for it to take effect. So make sure you're saving it. And then once your adjustment is processed, when you go back into the quick view to look at their payments, you'll see a new line item that's been added that shows that amount. So in this case, it would have a little line item for tip and it would say the negative $274. So once every adjustment is made, it's time to do your reconciliation because, and we have a slide for that. So basically reconciliation is the process of comparing students in your system. And Stephanie is going to go through all of the details for you.
Thanks, Sarah. So yeah, reconciliation, everyone's favorite thing to do. It's a process of comparing the students at your institution to the students who have been paid or are in a ready to pay status in MySSG. Every institution is going to have a different way and how that they utilize these reports with their own systems. So let's look at the information that MySSG provides to help you with that. So when you go into MySSG, you can go into reports, um, or I'm sorry, reports and the rosters area. The payment roster and the ready to pay roster are the 2 rosters you should use when doing reconciliation. If you're using the SSN, you want to make sure that you're clicking that little box at the bottom for you have all 9 of numbers of the digital SSN located, if that helps you with your own process with your institution. It's important to include the ready to pay roster because it will include all the students who are pending payment in MySSG. And just the next slide will kind of show you what that looks like as far as the pending payments, what the rosters look like. So the rosters are located here. These are Excel format. You can put them in an Excel format. You will see both a name included, the MySSG number, the SSN. You're able to run these, including all terms, or you can run them in separate terms, depending on how you'd like to do your reconciliation. If your institution wants additional support or has ideas on how they can make this process smoother, please contact us. Let us know. We're always happy to help in any way. We can help on one-on-one. Send us an email and we'll help you in any way that we can. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Christy to talk about year-end balancing.
Okay, so after the fourth quarter final payment, then electronic adjustments can no longer be completed in MISSG. And so then what you have to do is you have to, and we just lost. What you have to do is you have to pay back my student aid no later than September 11th, 2026. And then what will happen is the program coordinator will email you with a roster and letting you know what the dollar amount is and the students that need to be refunded. Here we have the refund worksheet that you need to include with the check when you send that back. And as you can see, we've highlighted all the important information. So pretty much everything is important. You don't have to add up all of the dollar amounts because the refund worksheet will add that up for you. The other information you don't have to include is the fax number. If you want to include that, you can. Otherwise, you don't have to include that. We do have the refund worksheet step-by-step guide, so it will walk you through how to fill that out. The link is on there, but let me put that in the chat for you. So that's there as well. So that'll help you if you need help filling that out. And what you'll do is you will send in the refund check along with the refund worksheet, and this is the address that you'll send it to.
Okay, thanks, Christy. All right, if you were at our MISFA session or met up with us at MISFA at all, then you are a little more familiar with our new launching recognition program. So we want to find ways to highlight all of the work that you're doing on a monthly basis, yearly basis. And so we really want some of your feedback on different ways you would like to be recognized in different areas of your state aid work that could be recognized. And we want your nominations. So we got just a couple nominations for different financial aid professionals that are doing things really well and assisting others, or just setting a really good example, or they're just great collaborators. But we want more. So I would just want to give you a minute or two to grab that QR code, scan it with your phone, pull it up on your computer, whatever works. We'll send this out one more time. We've sent it out once already, and we're going to send it out one more time at a month end Gov delivery. But we really want your input because we want to recognize you in ways that you find valuable and appreciate. So we have lots of ideas, but we'd like to really just get some of your feedback. So just another second, please grab that QR code and go ahead and fill out that form or get it pulled up. Okay, we're going to move on now. So, looking ahead, this year is coming to a close, and we already have some information for 2026 and 2027 that we want to jump into with all of you. So, the 26-27 reports are available in MISSG as long as that student has their FAFSA on file. The MCS and TIP rate entry deadline information will be coming in August, so pay attention as we continue to send out that information. And then if you can update any changes in your contacts for state aid, please do that in MISSG. You could review it and update it. If it's still the same person, then please feel free to leave it, but we really appreciate who's in charge of what programs and just knowing that information. And then the 26-27 Security College Access Form will be available soon, and there is a deadline that comes with that. So once you see that Gov delivery, please take the time to fill it out and get it submitted back to us. We also are going to continue open office hours in the next academic year, and they'll be at the same time, Thursdays at 1 p.m., the last Thursday of the month. If you haven't registered for tomorrow's open office hours, you still have time to do so. We have Office of Higher Education, Katie Girardelli, joining us, and she's going to share on the transfer landscape and the work that she does for the state of Michigan with transfer students and research. We have a whole website on it too. So if you're not familiar or you are familiar and you're interested in continuing to learn about it, please join us tomorrow from 1 to 1:30. It'll be in Zoom. Okay. And then overnight tonight, we are going to launch a bit of a reorganization to our website. So we're really excited about this. Our team has been working really hard to find a better way to lay out so much information that you all access. And I know change can be scary, especially if you're used to always clicking in a certain spot for something. But just know that everything is still going to be there. It should just hopefully be easier to find. So this is just a little bit of a preview for what's to come. And this page is going to continue to grow. We're looking at launching our e-modules in the coming months, which we're very excited about. So another training resource is coming. And one more screenshot of just another friendly user-friendly interface that you're going to see for that MISSG portal. So hopefully you like the new layout. Hopefully it makes sense. It was long overdue for this overhaul, and we really appreciate our team that is redoing this for us. So just know that that's going to launch tonight, and you'll be seeing some updates tomorrow and then more updates to come. Okay.
Thank you, Caroline. Okay, we are in the final stretch. So if you have hung with us this long, thank you. Congrats. We're almost there. So just some key takeaways that have already been highlighted throughout the presentation today. But just wanted to point out, as we wrap up the 25-26 academic year, our main focus is really just making sure all eligible students are being identified and are being awarded appropriately, including any students who may not even be currently listed with your institution. So there still might be a little bit of work to be done there. For institutions participating in the fellowship program, just that final reminder that the confirmation of eligibility must be completed by July 1. We encourage schools to submit all ready to certify records and reimbursement requests as soon as possible, rather than waiting until just before that final payment date. And just another plug, that Q4 payment is scheduled for August 12th. Also, reconciliation and any needed adjustments in MySSG must be completed before the Q4 payment date to help ensure accurate year-end reporting and payments. And if your institution has funds that need to be returned to the state, those payments and the required program refund worksheet must be submitted by September 11th. And again, our coordinators will communicate with institutions on an individual basis, letting them know if money is owed and who those students are to help you in filling out that refund worksheet. And while we're closing one year, we're also prepping for the next year. So as Caroline mentioned, aid directors will need to complete that 2026-27 College Security Access Form, which should be available in the coming days. Continue to monitor your 26-27 eligible student reports, information rosters, bulk student summary reports to identify students early. As Caroline also mentioned, please make sure your MySSG school profiles and points of contact remain current, so that way we can make sure that we are reaching out to the most appropriate person at your institution to help resolve and communicate any issues. And finally, we'll be sharing additional information regarding MCS, MTG, and TIP budget entry that will need to occur in MySSG. So we'll have some more details to come, probably in early August about that. So our message to you really is just to stay proactive, complete your year-end activities early, lean on us for that support. It's just helpful that we can maybe prepare for that as early in advance as possible, so that way we aren't running up against those tight payment deadlines. And just do what you can to be well prepared for next year. And just wanted to highlight too, this is the time of the year too where we are monitoring our state budget. So there's a lot of information out in the news right now, and so we are eager and anxious to see where the legislators land and the governor lands with the 27 budget. But we are monitoring that activity closely, and we'll be sure to share updates as we receive them and we come to a final budget for the upcoming year. So from here, I'll turn it back to Caroline for questions.
Yeah. Thanks, Jennifer. Just want to open up for the Q&A. So we've got our screens available. You've got your screens available if you want to come off mute or turn your camera on and ask any questions. This is obviously a lot of information, and so we know you're going to process it, and you'll have access to the slides and the recording. So if you need those reminders and takeaways, you certainly have those available. But if you do have a question, please drop it in the chat or come off mute. And happy retirement to Jean.
Oh, thank you so much. I
Congrats,
appreciate
Jean.
that.
Gonna miss
Gonna miss you all too. Thank you so much for all your support through the years. Many, many years.
Well, when you start when you're 5, they add up.
Thank you for that.
Awesome. If anyone has anything for us, please feel free to ask. I see there's quite a few in the Q&A in the chat, so thanks for submitting those questions and getting your answers as well. If you don't have any questions, feel free to jump off. We wrap up at noon or before. And thank you for attending. Okay. Give it just a couple minutes in case anybody wants to stick around and ask. But otherwise, thank you all. Yeah, the recording will be available soon. We generally just have to wait on YouTube to get it updated because they end up being quite long videos because we have so much to talk about. But yeah, we'll get it definitely by next week. It'll be out and available. So good question, Lola. Okay. All right. If there's no questions, going once, going twice. Okay, we'll see you all next time and hopefully at open office hours tomorrow. Actually, I did just get one more question. I am the tip counselor at my school, and this year we're having incoming freshmen that have dual enrollment or middle college credits coming in that door. Okay. And just wondering, okay, I'm going to get you in touch with Stephanie, or if you'd like, you can reach out to Stephanie for this one. More just conversation about this program. Okay. So, okay, they're going to reach out to you, Stephanie, with the tip question. Awesome. Okay. You got to do that going once, going twice, and people still want to ask stuff, so that's good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. Thank you, everyone. Reach out to us if you have any questions. Great seeing you all.